She was the daughter of a Hollywood god and an 80s goddess, but instead of walking red carpets, she chose to bleed on the mat. What makes a runway model throw away fame, fashion, and comfort? To fight in a world that breaks bodies and shatters dreams. This is the unbelievable transformation of Arissa LeBrock, from cover girl to cage fighter to the next wrestling sensation. The name Steven Seagal is more than just a name. It's a brand, a genre, a specific type of on-screen chaos. In the late 80s and 90s, he was an untouchable force in Hollywood. He wasn't just an actor playing a tough guy. To millions of fans, he was the tough guy. A 7th Dan black belt in Aikido, his credibility was built on legit martial arts mastery. Films like Above the Law, Hard to Kill, and Under Siege weren't just movies. They were demonstrations of a brutal and captivating fighting style. Seagal was the quiet, ponytailed dispenser of justice, a mythic figure who blurred the line between his characters and himself. On the other side of this genetic coin was Kelly LeBrock. If Seagal was hard-edged action, Kelly was the icon of 80s screen magic. As the star of the classic film Weird Science, she was literally the perfect woman, a goddess brought to life. Together, they represented two powerful, yet completely different pillars of Hollywood. Arissa LeBrock was born right into this world. You'd think her path was pre-written, Hollywood premieres and inherited fame. But raised far from the chaos of Hollywood on a quiet ranch, she was determined to forge her own path. And that path, initially, led her as far away from her father's world of combat as you can get. It led her to high fashion. Before she ever stepped into a wrestling ring, Arissa LeBrock stepped onto the runway. She built a successful career not as an action hero's daughter, but as a plus-size model. In an industry often criticized for its narrow standards, Arissa became a voice for body positivity. She was featured in campaigns for major brands like Ashley Stewart and appeared in the pages of Plus Model magazine. She even starred in the reality TV series Growing Up Supermodel, giving the world a glimpse into a life that was about fashion, not fighting. This created the central, unbelievable twist in her story. She was thriving in a world of glamour and aesthetics, a universe that seemed completely opposed to the grit of her father's legacy. She was building her own brand on her own terms. So why? Why trade the red carpet for the wrestling ring? With a successful modeling career and a platform for advocacy, why trade it all for the brutal, punishing, and uncertain world of sports entertainment? The answer was always there, simmering just beneath the surface, the inevitable call to combat. While the world saw a model, a different fire was burning inside Arissa. The warrior spirit that defined her father, it turned out, was in her blood. She began intense training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a notoriously difficult martial art. This wasn't a hobby, it was a passion. She became a dedicated competitor, winning medals and documenting her grueling journey online. The raw athletic talent was undeniable. She trained at the prestigious Paragon Jiu-Jitsu and Kickboxing Academy, proving her connection to martial arts was as legitimate as her father's. This unique combination, the daughter of an action star, a successful model, and a legit BJJ practitioner, was too compelling for the biggest name in sports entertainment to ignore. In December 2019, the call came. World Wrestling Entertainment invited Arissa for a multi-day tryout at their state-of-the-art Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. This is the crucible where WWE forges its future stars, a grind designed to push athletes to their absolute limits. The wrestling world was buzzing. WWE scouts talent from every corner of the athletic universe, and Arissa's resume was a promoter's dream. This was her shot to prove that she belonged. And then, disaster struck. The exact details have been kept private, but the outcome was a major setback. A significant injury sustained during or shortly after the tryout brought her wrestling ambitions to a screeching halt. Imagine the crushing weight of that moment. You chase this impossible dream. You put your body through the ringer, and just as you're on the verge of a new beginning, the dream is snatched away. What followed was, by her own admission, a descent into a dark place. The physical recovery from a major injury is a painful battle, but the psychological recovery can be even tougher, filled with doubt and the haunting question of, what if? It was during this time that Arissa hit rock bottom. In a moment of incredible vulnerability, she later shared a powerful insight into her mindset. I realized that I had become comfortable in the darkest, worst place in my life. It's one thing to be in a dark place. It's another to get comfortable there. But wrestling has a saying. It's not about if you get knocked down, it's about how you get back up. And from the lowest point of her life, she got a phone call that changed everything. A call from a man who knows all about living in the shadow of a legendary father, Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes, the man the world knew for years as the bizarre and brilliant Goldust in WWE, is now a revered veteran, coach, and a foundational piece of all elite wrestling. As the son of the iconic American Dream Dusty Rhodes, Dustin understands the immense pressure of being a second-generation performer. When Dustin reached out to Arissa, he saw past the injury and the celebrity parents. He saw an athlete with untapped potential and a story that was far from over. He offered her a lifeline, a second chance. He invited her to move to Texas and train at his school, the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. For Arissa, that call was the jolt she needed. She later described the impact of that moment. When I got the call from Dustin, I realized that I had become comfortable in the darkest, worst place in my life. It was time for me to give every ounce of passion within me to professional wrestling. The Rhodes Wrestling Academy is a world away from the polished WWE Performance Center. It's a dojo built on old-school principles, hard work, fundamentals, and respect for the craft. Here, Arissa wasn't just a number in a mass tryout. She was a dedicated student under a master's mentorship. She threw everything she had into it, working with personal trainers to methodically rebuild her body and get her ducks in a row, as Dustin put it. Under Rhodes' guidance, her BJJ background became the bedrock of her in-ring style. He taught her how to translate her grappling knowledge into the unique language of professional wrestling. He praised her relentless work ethic and rapid progress, telling the Sports Guys Talking Wrestling podcast, "She's doing a great job, but this is only the beginning for her." After months of transformative training, her moment of truth arrived. In March 2023, Arissa LeBrock competed in a student showcase for the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, her official, public, in-ring debut. It wasn't in a massive arena under TV lights. It was in an intimate setting, in front of a small crowd who understood the blood, sweat, and tears that went into that single moment. As she stepped through those ropes, she wasn't a celebrity's daughter or a model. She had overcome a devastating injury and crushing self-doubt. On that night, she was, finally and unequivocally, a professional wrestler. Her debut caught the attention of wrestling insiders and those following her journey. Arissa's entry into wrestling is part of a broader trend of legacy stars, children of famous figures, making their mark. A path walked by names like Charlotte Flair and Ava Raine, the daughter of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But Arissa's story is fundamentally different. Her parents' fame comes from outside the wrestling bubble, and her journey is happening on the independent circuit, which adds a unique layer of intrigue. Her mentor, Dustin Rhodes, sealed her credibility with a powerful prophecy. After praising her work ethic, he made a bold declaration. Pretty soon, the whole world's going to be talking about Arissa LeBrock. Coming from a man of his stature, that's the ultimate seal of approval. Even her father, Steven Seagal, has expressed support for his daughter's new path, amplifying the interest in her journey. Since that debut, her journey has been one of steady growth on the independent circuit. This is where wrestlers truly earn their stripes, honing their craft far from the global spotlight. She has proven that a famous name isn't a free pass. Sometimes it's a heavier burden to carry. The question is no longer if Arissa LeBrock belongs in a wrestling ring, but where her journey takes her next. A destination like WWE feels possible. With her unique look, legitimate combat background, and an incredible story of triumph over tragedy. She is a captivating blend of her parents' star power, her mother's magnetic charisma, and her father's martial arts prowess. She's channeling it all into something entirely her own. She isn't just riding her family's coattails, she's adding a whole new chapter to their name. From Hollywood royalty to wrestling warrior, Arissa LeBrock is ready to build her own legacy. Arissa LeBrock's journey proves that legacy isn't just what you're given, it's what you build. She was born into Hollywood royalty but chose the grit of the squared circle. She faced down a dream-crushing injury and refused to be defeated. She has transformed herself from Steven Seagal's daughter into Arissa LeBrock, the professional wrestler. And like Dustin Rhodes said, pretty soon, the whole world is going to be talking about her. So the question we leave you with is this. Do you think Arissa LeBrock will eventually make it to WWE, and who would you want to see her face? Let us know down in the comments below. And if you want more stories that take you behind the curtain of the wrestling world, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.